Okay, I guess it's recording.
You wanna
Somebody
start over?
pushed it.
Oh, okay.
I
You
didn't
sure?
push it.
You want to erase and start over again?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you know I did listen.
I've gotten some practice actually. I'm very proud of myself.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you start.
Okay. So I am going to show you, or at least we'll explain and talk about how like you can memorize names and
Okay.
stuff, and using a bunch of different tricks and like different ways. Because I feel like learning names is something everybody struggles with,
Mhm.
and it can make a difference in a lot of ways just to know one person's name, because it means a lot to someone if you remember them. And obviously nobody means to like be mean about it and like forget, but it's like we have so many other things, so it's really easy to forget if you just hear it once. So one thing it's good to do is say the name 3 times, and the first time you meet them, at least have them say it. Of course, they're gonna say it, and then also if you can have yourself say it in that first like meeting, so it like instills into your brain more. And then, yeah, the third time if you can have somebody say it, just so you hear it again. And then there's different ways to associate it. You can have different weird images in your head that kind of come together to like make something so you can remember. The weirder the better. And then you can also group names up, like all the people that are named Paul, or like all the people named Jennifer. You're like, oh, that's that group of Jennifer, and like kind of have that in your head as well. And they can have an association, like all the Jennifers I know are blonde or something. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how do you distinguish them between all the Pauls and Jennifers that you have in your head?
Yeah, so to distinguish them, you would pretty much have, well, male and female, that's easier to do, but then also if you have like 2 groups of women that you're like, oh, these are Jennifers and these are Sarahs, then you can just have a different association for them, like, oh, Sarahs, usually they like to be outdoors, something like a lot of different people like to do, and then Jennifer's, I'm going to focus on their hair. There's like different subjects that you can like focus on, kind of categorize them like a library, but in your head for like the names.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it going into your short-term or long-term memory? How do you?
I don't know. Let's see. Probably long term, because my short term is very short. Very, very short.
Me too.
It's like a baby. If a good day, maybe 10 seconds, depending on what the thing is.
I know this.
But yeah.
Okay, so let's see. What would I do for someone whose name is Michael?
Michael. Okay. So me, I like the Archangel Michael. That's something like in my head. Also, like the main thing is you have to associate it with things that like you care about and that you mean something to you. So like Michael's, there's women that I know that are named Michael, and also men. So it's easier because I'm like, I really like that angel myself in my life. So I'm like, oh, like it always feels very significant when I meet a Michael. Like they're always very, very nice to me. And like I remember them for like the rest of my life. I still remember Michael from like junior high, and I can picture how he looks and everything. And like I miss him, but like I'm like all the Michaels I've known have been really nice. There's like certain kind of characteristics that come with names too, which is pretty interesting. I've noticed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what about me, Karen?
Karen. So then I would think caring, because you like care about people a lot, because you're like helping people, and then in kind of like your heart. So like caring in your heart.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, what about, let's see, what about Renee?
Renee. So Renee, I would say Ray, like a ray of sunshine. Renees that I know, they like have really bright eyes. And then Renee, you can say like Renee, like a horse, like a horse with really bright eyes. It's really pretty.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, that's
Yeah.
good. That's my sister's name.
There you go.
Okay, how about,
Katie. I would say maybe the letter K, because there's such an emphasis on saying the K.
Mhm.
And then you can do like this one I'm gonna do something like weird, like I'm like thinking of the word K and E, KT. So K on top of the K is like an E and it's like jumping up and down. So Katie.
Okay,
Yeah.
the K's jumping up and down.
So the
Like
K is,
trampoline.
yeah, the K is like a trampoline and then the E is like jumping up and down on it. And I'm like, that's a weird image. So I'm like, I'll remember Katie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Paula?
Paula. So then Paula, I would think there's this Gorillas, this band I like, a cartoon band. And so one of the characters, his girlfriend's name is Paula. So then if there's something off of the character that reminds me of the person that I'm meeting, I'll associate with that because I'm like, oh, I like that cartoon character, and I always hear that name, then I think of that cartoon character. It's kind of like a trigger, and then it's like I can remember that other person's name.
How did you link the cartoon name to the person?
So, Paula? Like
Katie. That's
Katie. So that's the big K and then the little E on top jumping.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, got it. What about some names that you have in your life that you have ways to remember?
I would say probably Sarah, and then
I mean, can I talk through Sarah?
yeah. So Sarah, I guess also like the first person, the person I'm thinking about is like the first Sarah I ever met. So I guess that like first time you like meet someone with like a name you haven't heard, I'm like that's kind of like the placeholder. They're always that person who's like Sarah. That's like the first association, and then it kind of goes off there. So I'm like I think of that name. I'm like okay, that's associated with like all my good memories when I was little. She was like a really good friend in elementary school, so I just kind of like remembered it from so many times of being with her. So
Yeah.
yeah.
One thing I think is you say that there's a Michelle, and she looks very similar to another Michelle I knew.
Yeah.
So
It's
I knew the
interesting.
other one
Mhm.
for a long time. It's worked finally for me.
Yeah.
It took me approximately 4 times of, being embarrassed and asking her.
That's okay, and you can't feel bad about asking like a billion times because like everybody struggles with it. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
With Michelle, I would use that Beatles song, Michelle, my belle, like yeah. So that
Because she was
association.
pretty.
Yeah.
Michelle, my belle. Okay.
That one's has the French in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. So that makes it even easier.
Yeah.
Okay, so my dad has a really unusual name.
Okay.
Otis.
Otis. So Otis makes me think, just automatically makes me think of like a dog, like, oh, this little dog named Otis. It definitely would be that name. I don't know how your dad looks, but I would probably see if there's like a color and think of a dog that's that color and then kind of have that association with him. Yeah. If he was like a dog, then he
Right.
looks like that. And
Yes.
then Otis, like Otis is a dog name.
That's
It's like I
interesting.
can't wait.
Yeah, that's great. And now I'll give you a hint. The way my dad has such an easy time with people remembering his name is Otis is an elevator brand. So any
Oh,
elevator,
okay.
almost every elevator you get on the floor in the front, you'll say Otis.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. The lettering now. Okay.
ATLS.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's kind of easy for him. He can say something
Yeah.
like that.
I don't know how long you can do that for.
What?
The elevator thing, because I'm sure that was more well known way back when, but it's not as well known now with
There you
elevator
go.
companies.
That's a
That's
very
the
good
unfortunate
point.
thing.
That's a good point, especially
Yeah.
with that kind of a name.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not as common.
No.
So it's like there goes through generations of common names and
Yeah.
then non-common names, and like you
Uh-huh.
said earlier with Michelle, they kind of like people kind of look the same, which is interesting.
Uh-huh.
That have the same names.
Uh-huh. Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me think of someone else in my life, or you, if you can think of something that you've thought of with people that's an example of, I don't know, either do you look for things that are either funny or even a little bit violent? My memory tends to domestic violence, like, I'm gonna throw the chair through the window, so whatever.
I mean, I usually don't go there. Usually I go something cute or funny. That's my like go-to. Yeah, really silly. Like the letters and stuff. Just being really goofy.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's probably good mentally, but going to
Yeah.
violent action.
We're more prone to go there.
We are, no,
yeah,
exactly.
The negative.
Yes, and even if it
programmed
doesn't
that
make it
way.
easier, we really want to go that way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because it matters where our attention goes to. It manifests in our lives and it's like tricky sometimes.
Yeah, okay. That's so true too. Okay, so let's see, what would be another name?
Maybe Raphael.
Okay.
Called the angel thing.
Okay, Raphael.
Trying to think. So Ra, maybe like the Egyptian stuff. Yeah. So Raphael. Fa. Maybe like a telephone. Telephone.
Telephone.
Yeah. So Ra. So just think of like God of Ra, like on a telephone. Be like Raphael. Saying his name.
Like a comedy angel.
Yeah.
Raphael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. See, there you go. I'm like keeping goofy. That's my go-to. That's what my brain likes.
That's great, I love that. Should we do some more?
Sure.
Okay, let's do a couple more. Okay, so the monk here, his name, well, the first part of his name is Bhante. So that means monk, that means reverend.
Reverend,
So,
okay.
so Bhante.
Bhante. Okay. And he's a reverend?
It's like the same as a reverend, but
Okay.
that's the translation.
Okay.
But the word that you want to use talking to him is Bhante.
Bhante. And that's like his name or his like
That's his
status?
title. That's his
Okay.
status, his title.
So Bhante. Maybe like a little bun, like a little cute bun, like a little bread.
Bun and tea. Because
There we
they
go.
always,
Tea.
the Sri Lankans are all about tea.
Okay, yeah.
So
And
bun
then-
and tea.
yeah.
Bhante.
And then also think, I would think on the like teacup, like the word tea spelled out because it's te, and then have that little accent over the A, because that's a little like strange,
Yes.
different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to remember, because I feel like there needs to be an emphasis on the A at the
Right.
end.
Right. So which
And remember
yes.
that.
Yeah, that's helpful too. Just noticing which part of the name the emphasis at.
Yeah.
Okay, now his other name
Uh-huh.
is Bhante Suttadhara.
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 Okay. Yeah. Okay. So sutta, it makes me think of like Japanese kind of like related stuff. So sutta, I don't know. Let's see. Suit, maybe like a suit of armor. Sutta. Maybe like a suit covered with tar all over
Okay.
it. Sutta. What is it?
Suttadhara.
Dara. Okay. Dara. Okay. I would think of Daria. I guess I'm gonna go to cartoons again. But like that show from the 90s, Daria, and then Sutta Dara. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's like in the suit of armor that's covered with tar all over her. Sutta Dara.
Okay, and do you feel like you would remember that?
Yeah, because it's strange and I like cartoons. I like it. Yeah.
That's great. Well, this is fabulous. Are there any other tricks that you would recommend that are also helpful?
Probably just like different languages, just taking it like little pieces by little pieces, because that's a little bit hard sometimes to like have different cultures and different sounds. So also just like if you can familiarize yourself, it depends on who you're like interacting with different cultures, but like maybe like hear some of the stuff that like in that language is kind of good, because then you can kind of like understand the sounds a little bit too. I like messing with different languages and just listening to them like in music, and like yeah, it's nice to like pronouns because there's only so many that we make in English.
Yeah.
So you can just hear other sounds in general. Listen to other music that's from other cultures would be good.
Uh-huh.
And then it's easier to like have an ear for it too.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I had another idea, and that was, oh yeah, so there's a monk named Vietnamese monk, and his name is Yun Chen, something like that.
Yun Chen.
Yun Chen. And so I actually did, because it was so hard, I did have to ask him a number of times.
Yeah.
But then finally I thought to myself, a young 10. I don't know why. Yun Chen, that's helped me. What
There
did
you
you
go.
do there?
I would say like young Jen, but that might be slightly off. So like the pronunciation you said is young Jen.
Chen. Chen. No, it's Chen.
Chen.
C-H-E-N-G.
Okay.
Yun Chen.
Okay. So then I would think of a young kid with like a really big chin.
Oh, yeah.
Like something
Yeah.
like heavy, so I like remember it as like dragging it.
Uh-huh. And as a kid, that's why he's young.
Yeah.
That is
So
hard
it's
to
like a
forget.
bazaar, and like this child carrying their chin across the floor. See, that's so very silly.
I see your brain remembers silly things too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good for our brains also remember positive
Yeah.
things. Okay, and then let's see, I was gonna ask you said remember, repeat it maybe 3 times and listen to it, have them repeat it 3 times.
Yeah.
Would you ask them to repeat it like once in the beginning and then once at the end? or-
Yeah, that's perfect. Like at the beginning and then at the
Uh-huh.
end. Make sure to do at least those 2. If you
Uh-huh.
can't do it more than 3, that's good too.
Uh-huh.
Like depending on obviously how long you want to talk to them.
Mhm.
But yeah, at least like the beginning and the end would be the best.
Mhm.
Even if you can't get that 3rd time.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then how do you get them to, how do you get that into the conversation too? It's easier.
Oh yeah, so like you can say it too. So you could be at the end, oh bye Steve.
Right. Right.
Nice to meet you, Steve. Bye
Okay.
Steve. Nice to meet you, Steve. You can even say it twice
Yes.
that way.
Yes. Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else? This has been fabulously helpful.
Good.
Yeah. All that in just 20 minutes or less. No, 15 minutes or less. I am very inspired that I can use this and it would really help me.
Good.
Yeah, and it's something I've heard of before, but I don't know. I didn't quite, wasn't able to quite apply it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could now.
That's good.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else?
There was something else, but I can't remember. But that's okay. See, that's okay too. Like I'm like I have to be really easy with myself and like give myself grace because it's like you can't be perfect all the time, and it's like we're already trying a lot just to exist. And I'm like, that's the #1 point. Like be nice to yourself and like be easy on yourself because it's like it's a lot to just exist, and then we're doing other things now. That's crazy.
That's true.
We ask a lot of ourselves.
Yeah. I'm also thinking how if it is a situation where you've met the person multiple times,
Yeah.
and you've already asked them 2 times, maybe even 3 times,
Yeah.
different occasions, their name. One thing that I find is helpful is to look around and see someone that they know and whisper,
yeah.
what's his name?
I just wait for the name to drop too.
Oh, really?
Like I'll just like flutter around and kind of hope for the name to drop.
Uh-huh.
But if I'm feeling daring, then I'll be like, hey, I'm sorry, let's go. What's your name again? And then I'll offer my name too. As like a condolence. Like, I'm gonna save you because you probably don't remember either.
I would expect you to remember. So please don't expect me.
Yeah.
I like that. That's really good. I do that when I'm around my parents at their yeah, that, and also they live in a retirement community, and so you know, people forget all the time.
Yeah.
But it's really embarrassing when they're like 30 years older than me and they remember names better than me.
No, you can't feel bad about that.
Okay.
Everybody has their amount of brains that they can figure out and stuff. Like, I'm younger than you, and I have a lot of short long-term issues. So it's like everybody's kind of just doing their own thing. We can't compare ourselves to each other.
Mhm.
It's hard not to though.
That's a good point, thank you. And I know that my mom particularly has a really hard time remembering names. She's very outgoing, gregarious and everything. And so when they first moved in, I mean, we're literally, first time they're walking in the door, my mom started talking to the person, and they had a nice animated conversation. And then my mom said, "I'm sorry, I don't remember your name." And she said, "Don't worry, you'll fit in perfectly here." And it's interesting because at this particular place, a lot of people are sharp, even though they may be 80, and you just think it just comes easily.
Yeah.
Maybe they're actually doing a little mnemonic to it, a little
Yeah.
memory to it. But also, and I've done where you listen in and to what someone else is talking to them.
They've also had like a bunch of practice.
It's true.
They've had
That's
more
a good
practice with learning names and like memorizing names more than anyone that's younger
Yeah.
than them. So it's like
Yeah.
that's an advantage in itself.
But it's offset by our memory getting worse as we get older.
Yeah, it depends because like
Depends. Some
everybody's
people don't.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Now when I go visit my parents in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna start asking people I meet.
There you go,
Do
get it.
you use some kind of a memory tool to
Yeah.
remember people's names?
I'm sure because
That'd be
it's like we
interesting.
don't know what happens in people's heads and like all of the
exactly.
tricks just to survive and do things. We just
Yes.
figure it out and we just
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah. I've always had this theory that my experience growing up influenced it because we moved a lot, probably about every 2 to 3 years. So each time I went into a new environment, everybody knew my name, right? Oh, that's the new girl Karen.
You gotta learn
Right,
other
everybody.
people's.
And it seems like in my life, I'm often going into new situations where there's a lot of people. Like when I was an adult, we're doing this wonderful ball massage. You know, I'm noticing even just doing this is relaxing,
Yeah.
and I think it helps. So, you know, if it's something relaxing, your mind gets a little tense or nervous, and this seems to kind of take it away. Yeah. But so I think moving, and then also like for example, like well, coming here, that was a whole new community, and it's all Sri Lankan names. And then the other community where Bhante Sutadara used to be the director is all Vietnamese names. And I don't know, I just feel like my brain just started to say, just put your short-term memory really short because, you know, you're not going to know them that long.
It was like a defense mechanism kind of.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, because I would be just overloaded with names.
Yeah. It was like
Yeah.
trying to get the essentials only.
Yes.
Like so you can like process and do the other things.
Yeah.
It takes brain power when you're like changing and having settings and like different stressors because you're like constantly getting stressed every time. Every 2 years you're like, okay, new environment, like I have to figure it out. Da, 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 da. Even if it's not stressful, like life-threatening or like intense, like it's still a stressor. So it's like changes affect our brains.
That's so true. Yeah, I like the part about how things are already kind of doing a lot in
Yeah.
a new environment. And I guess that's also why it's so hard when they throw you off and you run into the Trader Joe's.
Yeah. Also a new environment, yeah. Anytime where you don't see that person where
Yes.
you usually see them, that's
Uh-huh.
already like
That's
that'll
very
throw you in a
difficult.
loop.
Yeah, not just me.
No, everyone. You see that with kids, which is really cute. When they like see their teacher at like the grocery store, they're like, "Oh my God, what's happening? You don't belong here. You're only at school. That's the only place."
I once had a friend say, "You grocery shop?" He went and he was little. You buy groceries?
That's crazy.
Well, let's see, this has been wonderful. And I'm curious, how long have you been doing this?
Probably my whole life, and I didn't even realize
Really?
it. Yeah, just to like survive.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
What's your last name?
Rodriguez.
Okay, so that's Alex, okay, I think Alexandria?
Alexandra is my
Because Alexandria sounds, Spanish,
Mhm.
and Rodriguez is a really common Spanish last name.
Mhm.
But is there anything else?
My first proper name is Elliot.
Is what?
Elliot?
Elliot?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So how would I remember Elliot? Well, I know in French, Elle is female, what means she or her.
Okay.
Elle, yeah.
I would think, like a girl, because you said the French name. Think of the E, a big E inside of my mouth, because it starts with an E too. It doesn't think the E at the beginning of Elliot. So like a big Ellie,
Oh,
because it's somebody going yeah, just think of an E inside of my mouth.
Oh, that's crazy. That's good.
Yeah.
Wow. And then the Rodriguez part.
Let's see. Rodriguez. Well, it's very common, but
Yeah.
just like the baseball player A-Rod, like Alex Rodriguez. He's also Alex Rodriguez. So
Oh,
like
okay.
a couple people that I met, which is interesting because that happens too, I guess, with other people. But they're like, oh, like they'll hear my name, Alex Rodriguez, and then they'll be like, oh, like the baseball player. So like people already have like that one person. Usually it's a celebrity or like somebody that means a lot to them, and they're like, oh yeah, that association. But so that's what I would do for like the last name myself. But then with you, if you want to do something just like not associated with another person that exists, you could do like rod, like a rod, like a metal rod. So Rodriguez, Dream.
I got one. Alexi. You said that. Rod.
There you go.
Rod.
So violent.
Well, it's kind of everything. Let's keep working that one with something positive now. Alexia, Riga.
Rodriguez. Alexandra Rodriguez. So Rodriguez do the rod, reed, like reeds, like what do you call it? Like
I
in the
know.
reeds. And then
Yeah.
okay, after the weird so I'm like in the reeds, like
Yes.
with like a rod, and I'm hunting a Z because it ends with a Z. Because sometimes Rodriguez ends with the S, so it's like so Rodriguez. Like I'm like a guest in like the world of like trying to find the Z.
Okay, so in other words, that's to remind you that it's the S.
Z. I'm following
Okay,
Z.
so that's why you're looking
Yeah.
for the Z.
But
Okay.
I'm a guest on the planet. That's like something, and then I'm like, so I'm like holding a rod, and I'm going through the reeds, and I'm like, I don't know where I am because this is unfamiliar territory, and I'm trying to find a Z. So Rodriguez.
Wow, you have a really creative imagination.
Thank you.
It probably improves people's imagination.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, now it's Karen Brinkley.
Brinkley. Okay, so Brink. I think of the Disney Channel show Brink. It's like a skater thing from Disney Channel in like the early 2000s. Brinkley. Let me think. So Lee. Maybe like there's a new character on the show that's named Lee. So Brinkley. Oh look, there's this new character named Lee on. So Karen Brinkley. So yeah.
And I'll give you, since I haven't in a while, my nickname used to be Brink.
Brink.
And then this
nice.
one when I was skiing like
That's
crazy, just taking risks and everything when I was much younger, they'd say things like, on the brink,
Okay.
on the edge.
Like on the edge.
Yeah,
Okay,
on the
yeah.
brink. So,
Extreme.
Okay, extreme. We're doing extreme yoga, sitting down.
Yeah.
Something really different. It's extremely
It's
different.
on the brink.
It's on the
Cutting
brink.
edge.
But what about the Lee? What'd you say?
Only, like I was just thinking, so if it's like the way you want to go with the brink, like people called you brink and like on the edge, or like, maybe you can be like, oh, Lee, I'm like giving it like a person, but you could be like lean, like kind of like you're on the brink and you're leaning,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
over something. Lean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am looking forward to reporting back and next week and seeing how often I've used it, how well it's worked, and I'll
Okay.
have some questions.
Yeah.
And then you may change
You
my
do
life.
part.
Oh, thank you so much, Alice.
Yeah,
I really
for
appreciate
sure.
it. Yeah. Okay. Should we, is that the end of our session or?
Yeah,
Okay. Try it out. Bye. Now we should ask them, do you remember our names?
Do you remember our names?